Good morning, everyone. This is the You Me Us Together podcast. We're the Roots, and we're trying something a little different this morning.
Yeah, welcome to our dining room, to our dining table.
Yep. It's Monday morning for us when we're filming this, and we do our marriage journal on Mondays. So we thought we'd take you along for the process. We're not going to go over our schedules with you guys because you don't need to hear all that. If you don't know how to set up your schedule, go back and watch some of our earlier episodes. We talk all about scheduling stuff together.
I think that might even be episode 1.
Might be episode 1.
Yeah.
So
that is an important part of what we do during this time, is talking about our week so we make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a big part, and we haven't even done it yet. We'll do it afterwards. But yeah, it's a very important part of these weekly checkups.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we're going to dive into it. The book we're going through, it's a devotional book. It's called The Story of Us. We got it from my parents, the Family Life Ministries, the ministry that we volunteer with. They actually are the ones that provide it. And so if you guys are interested, let us know and we can get you a link to where you can buy it.
Maybe we should just put a link in the description.
Yeah, we could do that. We have to find the link first because we get it. We get all the resources while we're at conferences.
So
but yeah, I'm sure they're
go
online.
to a conference to get it.
There you go.
Yeah, we also have our coffee this morning that we're going to drink. Do like a little coffee and Devo time.
Coffee time.
Does that make me sound super hip to call it Devo?
Probably.
Devo time. Coffee and devotionals.
And your yucky creamer that you make.
Yeah, I decided...
It's not yucky, but it looks...
I know, it looks... Yeah, I decided I wanted to try to make my own homemade creamer, so it didn't have the sugar and the added crap, and this one is not a keeper, I don't think, this recipe.
That's not
not
amazing.
Great, but I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah, because like the coconut, got all chunky, so we had to blend it, and it was just not great.
I think the lid is getting rusty too, because it's in all like orange.
Oh, is it?
Or something.
I didn't.
Yeah. This jar used to be a salsa jar. So it was in there for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm gonna pour some coffee.
Do you want to tell them about your what you do for coffee?
So when we moved into the RV, I knew that I didn't want a coffee maker because we don't have counter space, and we weren't sure if we would always have power. Because when we moved in, we didn't have an inverter or any stuff for when we're off grid to have 120 volt power. So I said, you know what? Why don't we just do French press coffee? So that then I can just heat water up on the stove and make coffee that way. And it's actually worked out really well. Since then, we've gotten a pour over set up, so we can do that as well. So, yeah, that's my coffee, but I really rely on my morning coffee rituals.
Yeah. You do. Makes your day so much better.
Yeah, it's so weird.
All right, you ready to dive into the story of us?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Who read last week?
I did, but I'm going to read this week too.
Okay.
Normally we take turns. 1 week I'll read and Noah will write the answers to the questions, and the next week we'll swap. I'm going to read this week though because it's called Investing in Your Husband.
Oh, okay.
So
that's right. Next week is Investing in Your Wife, right?
Actually, last week was.
Oh, that shows how much I remember.
When I say last week, it's been like 3 weeks since we did this, and we really want to do it every week, and we actually did a podcast based on this one.
That's right.
We haven't read it since, which this is why we're recording it, because we really need to just get it done. But I remember last time we read it, I was like, it would have been a lot better if you read.
If I had read it, yeah, that's right.
So I'm just going to read this week.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
All right.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We're on week 28.
Wow.
We're like, what's half of
52?
52?
26.
I think we're halfway because the book looks
like it's split in half.
We're about halfway. All right, Investing in Your Husband by Barbara Rainey, who is the wife of the founder of Family Life.
Yes, Dennis and Barbara. Yeah, they founded Family Life.
Or maybe they founded it together, so she's a founder too,
right?
Co-founder.
They are no longer. They retired. Have since retired, but yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they have a lot of wisdom to give, though.
Yes, they do.
The verse in here is Proverbs 2:6. For the Lord gives wisdom from his mouth. Oh, let me start over.
Okay.
I gotta read punctuation.
Oh, yes.
I wasn't reading punctuation. For the Lord gives wisdom.
Okay.
From his mouth come knowledge and understanding.
Okay.
It's in do you know what version of the Bible this is? NASB? I don't know what version that is.
I don't either.
It's not a typical
I've heard
one.
of it before. I could look it up.
Yeah. I don't know what version. I feel like normally it's... Actually, a lot of these verses in here don't have versions by them except for this one.
No American Standard.
Oh, okay. I feel like I don't read that one.
No.
I'm usually an ESV, NIV, or
NLT.
NLT girl.
That NLT's new.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think NLT was like pretty inaccurate because that's how the people in our church were, but we've since learned that sometimes it helps to understand things that we can't read well or whatever.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
All right. I gotta take a sip of my coffee to start.
You're so cute.
Love our mini mugs.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Our children and I once watched a new shopping center go up near our home. Initially, workmen cleared the lot and poured the concrete pads. Then the walls went up, quickly followed by the framing for the roof. But one day we turned the corner and slowed our van in disbelief. The entire structure had collapsed.
Oh my gosh.
That was so dramatic.
That would be so sad.
I know. Oh, I'd feel so bad for all the workers too.
Oh my gosh.
We learned that the carpenters had failed to secure and brace the new structure properly. The building's roof, held in place by only 2 boards, collapsed under the weight of 2 carpenters.
Oh.
Like the people were on it?
Yeah.
That's scary.
That is scary.
When we first married, I committed to being under the roof of Dennis's protection. He had all the structural basics, but he was brand new at being my protector. Like that roof, he appeared to be solidly in place, but he needed me to help secure him, to brace him by believing in him. Fortunately, I did come alongside him. Through the years, the weight of life's pressure sometimes shakes him, but he remained solidly over me as my roof, my protector. Today, although still not perfectly secure, my husband's structural integrity is much more stable. He tells me that I have had a major part in helping him feel surer of himself as a man and as a husband. The book of Proverbs is probably my favorite in the Bible because it contains such practical wisdom about everyday life. Proverbs tells us that as we pursue God and learn His Word, we will grow in our understanding of how to live, and that includes how to live with our husband. As a wife, I have great power in the life of my husband to help him grow into the man God wants him to be. Here are 3 tips I've learned about investing in my husband. I'm going to grab a sip of water. I am not drinking much since I woke up and my throat is pretty dry.
That's okay.
The coffee doesn't really
and you're not,
do the same thing.
You're not normally out of bed this early, but I have work to do today, so...
I'll do anything for you, my love.
Good job.
All right. 3 tips about investing in your husband.
Yep.
First, I need to understand his need for work. God gave man the responsibility to toil, sweat, and gain from the labor of his hands. His work gives him a sense of significance and importance in the world. But this drive for significance sometimes pushes a man to extremes. He may become enslaved to his job, a workaholic, or if he struggles in his work or loses his job, it strikes at the core of his dignity.
Yeah.
Man.
I feel that.
My voice just like... I'm learning I need to like ramp it up in the morning.
Yeah,
it's not really ready for all of this.
That's
but
alright.
It's alright.
I feel that deeply.
The work?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I struggle because I compare myself to you and I'm like, he's working so hard and I'm not. Does that mean I'm a failure?
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm not as good as him?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact that we were made differently.
Yeah.
On purpose.
It's an important distinction.
Yeah. Your husband needs you to help him keep these two extremes in balance. He needs you to praise him for his work, but not to push him to gain too much too quickly. And when a man loses his job, he needs you to stand beside him, encourage his efforts at finding employment, and remind him that true significance is found in his relationship with God. True significance is found in your relationship with God. Remember that.
That's what I've heard.
Okay. Second, I've learned to understand his need for respect. Ephesians 5:33 tells us, let the wife see that she respects her husband. That's NKJV.
Okay.
She's like switching up all her Bible versions. She's showing how well she knows the Bible.
I guess so.
When a wife respects her husband, he feels it, is supported by it, and is strengthened from it. Your husband wants and needs to make a contribution in life that is worthy of another's respect. He needs to know that you feel he is important. You are his mirror. When you express your respect, he feels valuable and esteemed. Perhaps you are like the young mother I know whose husband drank heavily and spent little time with the children. She had a difficult time viewing him with respect and honor. A deliberate change of focus from his weakness to his few strengths enabled her to begin to see her spouse in a positive light. Gaining a better perspective may aid you in esteeming your husband too. And in like the little box on the side, it says, pay attention to your husband's admirable qualities rather than the negative ones. Mm-hmm. Which is what we've talked about on multiple podcasts already, is choosing positivity over negativity in like every aspect of life.
Yeah. It's interesting because you can, I imagine his behavior would change based on the way she started to interact with him. Mm-hmm. At least I feel like I would.
Yeah.
Right. If he started to get praise for things that she admired about him and stuff, I imagine that made a big difference.
Yeah. I'm sure it did.
Go ahead.
Okay. As Philippians 4:8 tells us, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if there is any excellence and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. That's a good verse.
That is a good verse.
That one's NASB.
Do you need a highlighter?
I'll go back and look at it.
Okay.
Probably highlight it in my Bible.
Yeah, you probably should.
Pay attention to your husband's admirable qualities rather than the negative ones.
There you go.
Third, I need to bless his sexuality.
Ooh.
I've never heard it that way. Bless his sexuality.
I want to feel sexually blessed.
Okay, let's see what she has to say about it. Many wives express that they are offended because their husbands are such sexual creatures. This attitude communicates rejection to a man. The truth is, the typical man worries about his sexual performance, his wife's enjoyment, and his ability to satisfy her. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I feel fairly adequate at that.
Okay, good.
Good morning, Nala.
Hey, Nala. Good morning. Do you want to come join us? Hi.
Good morning. Come here.
Go sit by Daddy.
Okay, bye.
Nala just woke up, so if you hear tip-taps on the ground.
Tip-tap, tip-tap.
All right. A man who feels like a failure in the marriage bed will seldom have the deep, abiding self-respect for which he longs. This may come as no surprise to you, but most men really want, their wives to passionately desire them. And when you express sexual longing for him, whether verbally or non-verbally, it's funny with all this drinking, whether verbally or non-verbally, your husband is unlikely to refuse your magnetic power.
Magnetic
You
power. Are magnetic, my love.
You want to go join?
Nala.
Daddy Nala.
Come. Good girl.
Welcome to the podcast, Nala.
Come on up.
What do you have to say about marriage?
Are you just going to look into the corner?
She usually looks out the window, but since the curtains are closed, she's smart. She'll figure out a way.
Okay, well, enjoy your window looking time.
Alright. For a number of weeks, I planned a special romantic 2-night getaway to a bed and breakfast in another town. I planned and shopped and organized all the right elements of our time together. Then I called him while he was away on a speaking engagement and told him that I'd be picking him up at the airport, but we would not be going home. She's like kidnapping him.
Ooh.
We're not going home. I also dropped more than a few subtle hints about what kind of adventure he could expect. My husband is a man's man, but when I picked him up at the airport, he was as excited as a child on Christmas Eve. That weekend was memorable for both of us. We both had a wonderful time, but Dennis especially did. He talked about it for months and still mentions it from time to time after all these years.
That's cute.
Do you think you would react that same way? I feel like you'd be like, whatever.
No, I think that would be fun.
I don't know if I would even put in the effort to surprise you because I don't think you would care.
I like spontaneity.
Really?
Yeah, you know that.
I know, but like something like that, I feel like I can't spend the money on that without asking you.
Yeah, so part of it is like we're really tight money-wise, and so it's harder to do things like that right now.
Someday I'll surprise you with something like that.
Okay.
But maybe I would make sure it was like aimed towards you and your liking. So maybe we go camping, or maybe we go...
Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
What else? Off-roading.
And camping.
And camping. Okay. Remember, it takes years for a man to become a strong husband. That's something to remember, because I think people often assume he either is or he isn't, and that's how he is.
Yeah. For sure. Am I a strong husband?
Yeah. But I do think for any guy, no matter how strong he is when he starts, it's a new thing.
Yeah, I agree.
That he has to learn and get used to and become a strong husband.
Mm-hmm. I thought I was strong in some areas, and there's a lot of areas that I'm not as strong as I thought.
Yeah.
Or I struggle a lot more than I expected.
Yeah. Be patient with him.
Yeah.
Put aside your high expectations of how a perfect husband would lead his family spiritually, or behave socially, or perform intellectually. Keep your hope in God, not in your man. Then you will not be disappointed.
That's good.
Should I say that again?
Yeah.
Keep your hope in God, not in your man. Then you will not be disappointed.
Men will disappoint you.
Yeah, they will. But I love you.
Okay. All right.
All right. Now
Yay.
to the question page. Here you go.
Did you bring a pen?
A pen? I know it's
heck,
not.
I thought you were gonna get up.
Not your pen,
That's crazy.
but it's a nice pen.
It is a nice pen. It's getting worn out.
I know. I've had it for several years though, and it's still going strong.
Yeah. Okay. Do we need to explain how these books work? Or did we already?
I don't think we did. Do you want to?
Yeah, basically how this works is it's got 52 devotions, obviously, so that you can go one a week for a year. These always take us more than a year. But they have the reading section, which we just did, and then they have a question section where it's kind of like a time for us to just discuss what we just read and
have conversation.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about It's really nice to have conversation starters. That's kind of the point of...
That's the point of this. It's just, to
Instead
help kind of direct your conversation around what you read.
Yeah, instead of just sitting there and being like, what did you get for that? Yeah. From that, and you're like, I don't know. Yeah. We both tend to do that.
Yeah. And then at the end, there's a prayer section where you can pray specifically about the concepts you talked about today.
Yeah. It
gives you a little prompt for that.
Yeah, it's not like a read this prayer and you're done, but it's like, here are some ideas of you could pray for this and this pertaining to what we talked about today.
This format helps me better because I hate, it feels so rigid and not real to just read a prayer.
Yeah.
It almost feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
It's not truly coming from your heart.
Yeah, God wants to hear your heart, and He wants to really have that real relationship with you. And if you're just reading a prayer just because you feel like you're supposed to, what's that going to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your story? Talk together about how you've observed the importance of these 3 things in your husband's lives.
Okay.
Life. Not lives.
Lives? Are you like a cat? How many lives do you have?
I have so many lives. I've used up a couple of them already.
Yes.
Work, respect, and sexual fulfillment. All right.
That's not the way she worded it before, the sexual one.
Yeah, it was something else, wasn't it? She said, like, sexual blessing or something.
Oh, yeah.
She? But she said it in the way of, like, it was, like, bless your husband sexually or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, bless his sexuality.
Bless his sexuality.
But he gains fulfillment from that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're discussing how those pertain to you?
Yeah, just the importance of each of these to me.
Work is very important to you.
It is.
You really like to work with your hands. A lot.
I do. Just kidding.
When you are not working with your hands, you feel unsatisfied and like you just get in this weird mood.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah.
Like,
I need that as some sort of fulfillment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I think it's just because of the way I grew up. But it's like really important to me to be able to do hard work and get the satisfaction of that work getting done.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because we tried for a few months. You would just stay inside.
I just didn't
with me every
work,
day,
yeah.
And you and me us together work is mostly on the computer. It's office work.
Yeah.
And you were just not the same person anymore. There was something off about you. As soon as you went to go work with your brother 2 days a week in the shop, you're like a whole new person. Back to how I remember when we first got married.
Yeah, it's funny, huh?
You need to work with your hands.
Yeah.
You need to do that hard, like, manual labor.
Yeah. Right, and it doesn't have to be one specific thing, right? I really like summertime because I can, like, we do a lot of outdoor projects, right? We do fencing and we do dirt work and we work on whatever fabrication projects or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we work on house projects, you and I do. And I really enjoy those things. I like problem solving and that stuff.
What would you say to the man who is like you like that, but physically can't do the manual labor anymore and feels like he's kind of worthless now?
That's hard. I do think God gives us grace for ourselves to learn to be fulfilled through other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I want to use Papa Randy as an example, actually.
Okay.
He, my Papa Randy is my mom's dad. He passed away a few years ago. I just idolized him. He was amazing, you know.
He was
real
big guy. Big little guy.
Yeah, he was super muscular. I felt like he could lift anything. Not super tall, though.
He's like 5'6".
Yeah.
You were taller than him, and you're pretty short.
He worked in construction his whole life. He built houses. He was a framer. He was a man's man, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. I looked at him. I'm like,
yeah, he's a real man.
Yeah, he's got
the chest hair coming.
He does the real man work. Oh yeah,
yeah,
you have that from him. And, you're getting there.
But anyway, later in his life, he had really struggled because his body was just like breaking down because he worked hard his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And he got cancer. I don't know.
About a year before he passed away, yeah. I'm guessing.
Yeah, he didn't pass away from cancer. He actually was cancer free. But anyway, he what am I trying to say? I saw this shift in him because before he just had to do the work and he pushed through his hurt to do hard work, right? And I saw this shift later on where he really was at peace, sitting and studying his Bible and going to different Bible studies with other guys and having intellectual conversations and stuff like that. There was a shift and he seemed at peace about it, which was really cool because I think it took a lot of work from God for him to really be able to let go of this peace. Mm-hmm. And it didn't mean that he didn't do any work, right? He rebuilt this big section on their deck even when he was really hurting, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember there was a couple of times he asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to come change the oil in my truck? Because he was not up for it when he was doing his treatments. He's like, I just can't. But he still was out in the garage with me, and I pulled a skid plate down for him, so that we could clean it while I was doing the oil, and he pulled it out and was cleaning it and wrestling it around, and it's he still had that in him, but he was able to shift his focus a little bit and find his worth in other places.
Yeah. I think with God's help, you're able to do that. Because
yes, I agree. I think
life is about seasons. Yeah. There's always going to be different seasons of your life. Absolutely. It's always going to change. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
And it's about growing with those seasons and learning to adapt with the Lord's help.
And I would say right now, I'm in a transition where I tried there were a couple of times where I did full-time manual labor stuff, right? Welding and all that. Shifted all the way to I don't want to do any of that. And then came back, shifted away, came back, right? And so I've been trying to find that balance of I know that this YMU work, I really need to spend time on it, and I know that it's super important. But it doesn't fill this need in me that I have right now, but I also can't get my worth from that need.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find that balance right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy with where we're at, as long as I can make sure not to let the shop work overtake this work, because it's really easy for me to just say, well, I'm more comfortable doing that, so I'd rather just do that.
Yeah. And I think it's a process of learning to, you like the manual labor, and that's part of you. You don't want to overlook that, but learning to find your worth in God instead of your work.
Right.
And
yeah,
when things change, you can be disappointed. Yeah. That's okay. Mm-hmm. But your whole life isn't ruined because your worth wasn't taken away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I definitely can attribute the peace that I have right now just simply to the fact that my relationship with God is so much better than it ever has been. It's so much stronger, and I love where I'm at right now with that.
Yeah. So to the man who isn't physically where he wants to be, isn't able to do the work that he wants to do, just know that you're not worthless.
Yeah.
God can still use you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's going to be in a way that you least expect. It's going to be in a way that's uncomfortable for you.
It's definitely going to be uncomfortable. And I would actually say... Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I was just going to say that it doesn't mean that your life's over or you're useless or worthless now.
Yeah. A lot of times when guys are like in the trades and they're at that point where they just can't physically do it anymore, one of the best things they can do is teach.
Oh,
I'm not saying teach at like a school or anything like that. I'm saying simply find men in your community. I would say definitely at church, if that's a place that you're spending time. Finding guys that are interested maybe in learning how to build things and do stuff like that.
Also, like, specifically younger guys.
Yeah.
Not always, but if you're at that place, generally you're older, you've lived more life, you have more wisdom to share.
Men need that mentorship from other men, and it may not even just be about the work and your experience in that work. It may just be being able to be an encouragement to younger guys, and that's an amazing place that you can use your knowledge and your skills to teach the next generation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And really affect other guys' lives.
Can you take a minute and talk about the importance of having a community of other men around you and what that's done for you recently?
Yeah.
I think that would fit in here well.
I would say the big things that come out of having I'm going to put in godly men, because I think guys are inherently flawed in their thinking, and especially all the junk we have coming at us. There's a strength that comes with being able to have other men that will hold you accountable, that will lift you up when you're feeling beat down by whether it's work or I feel inadequate providing for my family, or even interacting with my family, because emotions are hard for a lot of guys. A lot of those things, right? Definitely accountability is a huge one for guys. And if you don't have those spiritual men around you that are able to lift you up and actually encourage you to keep moving forward and keep pressing into what God has for you, not what the world has for you, I think is the biggest deal of having other men around you. And just to be challenged and do guy stuff together. Men have this need for adventure, right?
Yes, they
whatever
do.
that means, right? So we're doing this job next week, right? Or for the next month, starting next week. And it's an adventure. It's going to be a crazy adventure. It's something that we have done before, but not exactly this way, and it's going to be really hard. But knowing that I'm able to do it with my dad and my brother, because we are such a tight-knit team, really is exciting, because we really get this fulfillment in doing hard stuff together, problem solving together, and really getting to figure things out, you know?
Yeah.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Move on to respect.
Let's move on.
Please.
Respect is super important to me.
Oh, really?
You knew that.
Yeah.
If I'm doing like a deal for buying something, we talked about this recently. Just you and I did.
Okay.
If I'm going into a deal to buy something like on Craigslist or Marketplace,
Which he does.
I do this
often.
all the time. I like to flip stuff.
He lives on Marketplace.
Yeah. If I feel that, let's say I'm going to buy something,
mm-hmm.
and it is genuinely a good deal, but the person that I'm buying it from is being disrespectful to me, I will walk away. Because it's not worth it to me to do a deal with someone that's being nasty and not being a decent human being. And respecting the fact that I am, here doing this. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a really obvious one to me. First, go ahead.
What are some ways where I do well respecting you? Because I feel like I do my best. I've never heard you tell me that I'm not doing good at it.
Yeah. You, because of our circumstances and how you basically transitioned from being under the umbrella of your parents to being under me, right? You naturally fell into the role of you trust me to take care of a lot of things, and I think that makes me feel respected, right? So you just trust that I've got finances figured out. You just trust that I will tell you if there's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I will handle it if there is a problem, and if you don't know about it, that's not a big deal, right? Or simply just following my what am I trying to say? Just following. You are a very good follower.
Thank you.
Which I really appreciate. And you never steamroll me like a lot of women. I see a lot of women just roll right over their husbands in public, and it's like, he needs the respect and you're not giving it to him in the most important way, because men need to know that you're going to show respect towards them in public, right? It's very important to us because to most of us, maybe for some guys it doesn't matter, but I truly believe that God built us in a way where we need to know that we are respected.
I can't think of a single guy right now that it doesn't matter to them. Right. I think it's kind of built into your nature and who you are.
I agree.
Maybe there's some guys where it doesn't matter as much as others.
Yeah, I would say if it seems like it doesn't matter to them, it's something that's, I don't want to say broken in them, but it's something that someone else has broken in them, right? Yeah. Someone else has said, you don't need respect, you don't deserve respect, whatever, right? Yeah. Whether that's like their parents, their siblings, their spouse, their friends, whatever that is.
So either they don't believe it or they're hiding it from you.
Right. Right. Or they have been talked so negatively to throughout their whole life that they then feel like, well, I don't deserve respect. Like, look at me. Who am I? I don't deserve anyone's respect. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. Like, men, that's a broken man.
Yeah.
If he feels like he doesn't deserve people's respect.
Yeah.
I do believe that people can do things to lose respect from others. But I think when we get married, Inherently? I gain your respect immediately when we get married, but I can do things to lose that respect. But it's expected that you are going to respect me right away.
Yeah, it's
until I do things that you may lose that respect. It's
not we get married and now you have to start earning my respect.
Right. Yeah, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't respect me right off the gate, I would have been like, what is going on? I thought this was the deal. Yeah. Or like, I don't know. That's a hard one, for sure.
Yeah. If you're marrying a man that you don't respect, then maybe you should reconsider that and your reasoning for wanting to marry them.
Yeah, and having that conversation together and saying, I don't feel like I can respect you, and if we're going to make this work, we need to figure out why. Because it's probably something that's deep down that neither of you realized was going on until it happened.
Yeah.
Right?
I do want to talk about the other extreme where you talked about men that don't think they deserve respect. Mm-hmm. There's also the other extreme where men think, I'm the man, therefore I deserve all the respect from everyone, and respect is power.
Yeah.
And even when they're in the presence of other men who also need respect, they think they deserve to be the top guy.
Yep.
Because they're the man.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know much about men because I'm not a man, but I'm guessing that there needs to be some mutual understanding of respect between men when you're around each other. And if you're around that guy who thinks that you all are under him, then you're not, like, that's kind of what you're talking about with Marketplace. The guy, he doesn't respect you.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, and we could go on for hours about this, but because there are things that you do with an first impression, man to man, where you can get this sense of like who is on top, if you will, right? It's a weird thing, but like simple things like how you're dressed, or the way you shake a guy's hand, or the way you just carry yourself, it lets each other know where you're at and how you expect to be treated. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, and guys can sense that. They can sense where each other's at. So some guys, because of past hurt, they carry themselves pretty gingerly and just like, what am I trying to say? Just like,
they don't have confidence in themselves.
They don't have confidence in themselves, and they don't walk confidently, and they don't have a posture of confidence. Mm-hmm. And what that other guys can sense that, and so they, sometimes, you see this a lot in non-Christian settings. Actually, guys will try to take advantage of that, right? And they'll just roll right over those guys because they're like, well, obviously you can't make decisions, stuff like that.
Or instead you should sense that and use it as, that's a guy I need to love.
Yeah.
Instead of, that's a guy I need to lord over.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balance, obviously, because there's instances where if I am around a guy like that, I'm going to and decisions need to be made, I'll take charge because I know that things need to get done, and I'll do that. But if it's a setting where I meet a guy and it's like, maybe we need to talk about some stuff because I can feel like you are being super timid and we need to work through this because I don't want you to have an experience with another guy where you just get bullied and pushed over. Yeah. Right? So
it's a hard cycle because it's like they don't have confidence, therefore people belittle them. Yeah. So they don't have more confidence. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, how do you get out of that?
You need other men to lift you up. And our wives need to be doing that as well. Yeah. Right? I rely on you to encourage me in a lot of different ways. And actually let's segue into sexual fulfillment. A lot of guys get confidence from knowing that they are doing a good job sexually.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I know that you are going to other avenues other than just us, I'm not saying cheating, but I'm saying masturbation or whatever, things like that, romance novels, things like that, and I know that you're doing that, it makes me feel like you need something sexually and you're not getting it from me, and so you're just going to go off and do your own thing and you don't care what. It makes me feel inadequate, right?
Yeah.
You do a really good job because like you show often that you desire me, and you tell me like I I love when you do this, or I love whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal to me. Yeah.
A man's wife is his foundation, I feel like.
Yeah.
If she is not...
She's a portion of his foundation. God should be our ultimate foundation, our cornerstone.
Yes,
I agree.
But if she is not encouraging him and supporting him in work, she's not respecting him, and she is not sexually fulfilling him or putting in the effort to, because I understand that there's times in life where it just can't go the way that you want it to go.
Yeah.
But if she is not doing those things, that's when he goes to one of those extremes.
Absolutely.
Where he either has no confidence or he feels like he has to demand it because that's the only way he's going to get it.
Yep.
And you can you talking about how you can sense this in a man, you can sense, does this guy have a supporting, loving wife behind him, or does he not?
Yeah.
And you can tell just by looking at him how he carries himself. Even I can tell sometimes.
That's a good point.
It's like, that man doesn't have a supporting wife.
Mm-hmm.
That man isn't getting fulfilled by his wife the way he needs to be.
Yeah. That's a good point.
There's also other things that can affect it, like past trauma or, things that have happened to you. But your wife is, and wives, you need to, that's why it's so important to work on these things. Not just know that they're important to your husband and go, I hope he finds those.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he really wants respect, he'll tell me. It's your job to keep your husband filled up in all those aspects.
Yeah, I don't want to give guys a pass to not communicate to their wives if they're feeling low in one of those areas,
mm-hmm.
or if they feel forgotten or disrespected from our wives.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I was gonna rank these 3 before we move on, if that's okay.
Do we need to fill in anything else for for sexual fulfillment?
For most guys, their gauge of what being sexually fulfilled is so jacked up because of porn. Even me, I have struggled for a long time of like, well, I mean, it's good and all, but it's not this, right? It's not that. And the reality is, until you totally abolish that from your life, consuming that kind of content, you'll
mm-hmm.
never feel fully sexually fulfilled. I'll never feel sexually fulfilled from just you.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that.
And I think these 3 things work together.
They do.
I think if your man's
Absolutely.
not sexually fulfilled, but the work and respect are still in there, it's still not like you're a total failure.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not putting effort into any of those, like, of course he's going to be acting a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
they all kind of feed off of each other. It's
Absolutely.
not like if one is perfect, you don't need to worry about the others. Yeah. It's do your best in all 3.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with that.
You want to rank them?
I'm having a really hard time ranking them because they're all
number 1.
They're all pretty high up there for me.
Well, that's good to know because that's how men generally are.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's created different, but
mm-hmm.
there's certain things that are created into a man and certain things that are created into a woman. That's why we were made differently.
Yeah.
And there's certain generalizations that are okay to have like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay if you can't rank them because it shouldn't be, I know this one's your number 1, so I'm going to put more work into that and not worry about the others.
Right.
I should be really doing my best to love you through all 3.
Do you want to go to the next question?
Sure.
What are some adjustments we can make in our relationship in order to build up your husband in these 3 areas? That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I feel like you've done a very good job recently of giving me freedom to work. You've always been good at respecting me.
I think the work is the one I could work on the most because I want to give you that freedom, but I also sometimes get into a self-sabotage mindset and go, I know that's what he needs, so I need to make sure that he does that, and he doesn't need to put any effort towards me.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I need that time with you, and sometimes I'm like, oh, but I know he needs to be out there working, so I guess I'll just let him be and I'll be fine.
Yeah, and I would say, I think, like when I come in and offer to help make dinner and you don't, we've talked about that a lot. It almost makes me feel worthless because I wouldn't offer if I didn't have the energy to. Sorry, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but the big thing is like I like to feel needed. That's what all of this is about.
I want to feel like needed by me.
I want to feel needed by you. I want to feel needed by just the people around me, right? But definitely you, right? I want to know that you can trust what I say, the words that I say, and that you can, take my words at face value, obviously, and trust that I can gauge on my own whether or not I am willing to do something, and I will tell you.
Yeah. And I'm working on that, because that's not how my brain works. You say I wouldn't ask if I didn't have the energy. I say I ask because I feel like I have to, and if I don't have the energy, that just means I need to find it, because that's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that isn't a very healthy way of thinking about it, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So
I really struggle to write anything down.
That's okay. Sometimes we don't write anything down because the questions are more conversational than answer this question. It's more like talk about what this means.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to do the last portion?
You want to pray together?
Praying one?
Yeah, we can. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
So people can understand what it is like?
Yeah. Normally we don't always read it.
No, I often don't, because I'm kind of keeping notes in my head of like, as we're talking, like, oh, I should touch on this and that.
Yeah. Well, we don't like read it out loud often.
No,
I always read it, but we take turns praying. Whoever writes prays, and so oftentimes Noah's writing and he prays. I don't look at it. He just looks at it and then prays, and I don't need to know exactly what he's going off of for praying.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it'd be good to read out loud to show people what it's like.
We suggest that the wife pray here.
Uh-oh.
Awkward. Anyway. Ask God to help you understand your husband's need for work, respect, and sexual fulfillment. Pray that he will give you the ability to build him up to become a strong, godly man.
So does that mean I need to pray instead?
It's okay. I don't mind praying. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We're going to break the rules.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Oh. Finished your mini mug of coffee.
Yummy.
Mine is not done.
That's my second one.
Oh, I'm still on my first. I'm not done. That's okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Let's pray.
Okay.
Father, thank you for this morning together. Thank you that we were able to find time this week. I pray for this time that you will give us strength to not neglect it like we have in the past. And I just pray that you will continue to strengthen us, strengthen our bond through the hard work that is coming our way for both of us. Give us kind words to each other, clear words to each other, and just allow us to really be honest and open about how we're feeling so that we can continue to support each other however we need. Father, I thank you for Cambria. Thank you for how well she does the wifing thing. She makes me feel so loved and supported and fulfilled all the time. And I can't help but be in awe of this amazing woman you've put in my life. I just pray that you will give her strength to know when to take my words at face value and to know when I am just trying to push through when I don't need to. I just pray for her and that she can rest in you in all of the work that you have before her, and I'll just let her really lean on me, lean on you, and maybe others around us in some of her struggles that she's working through right now. I thank you for this amazing relationship that you've given us. And just please bless the rest of our week as we work together to make this thing happen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming along with us and doing our weekly marriage journal.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't too boring. But
yeah, it kind of turned itself into an episode.
Yeah.
It's not, we don't normally get this deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.